so I can make sure I see it live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Coach's Kitchen. I'm talking to a good friend of mine from, I was going to say way back when, but couple years ago that we met. I'm going to give it just a couple of minutes so that way we can share the live with our live audience. I'm going to go over here to, we are live, just so you know, we are live on LinkedIn. We are also live on YouTube. My name is Leslie Nicole Speaks. On LinkedIn, I'm Leslie Nicole Speaks. And guess what? On Facebook, I'm Leslie Nicole Speaks. Actually, I'm Leslie Nicole Speaks 25. So we're so excited for you to join us. We're going to get started here in about a minute or two, but I'm just going to give it just a second so we can share on our social media. And Linda, I will tag you as well. Here we go. Okay. All right, without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Coach's Kitchen, everyone, where breakthrough is always on the burner. You see me in my kitchen tonight. I'm your host, Leslie Nicole, life strategist, empowerment coach, and your favorite soul chef. This is where ambitious women like you come to unpack what's simmering beneath the surface, from purpose to power moves, healing to high stakes leadership. Because y'all know this is not fast food healing. We ain't in Mickey D's. It's the slow, sacred work that sticks. We're at your fine dining restaurant. So pull up a seat, bring your whole self, and let's stir something real. Come hungry, leave whole. Now, tonight, I am honored to sit down with Linda Bricker. She is a leader whose resilience, strength, and unwavering commitment. There she is. She has high commitment to community impact. She continues to inspire those around her. I was just telling her I am truly, truly inspired by her and her story. And I have been since she first opened her mouth. But we're going to get to that. But after experiencing the devastating loss of her husband several years ago, Linda demonstrated remarkable courage as she rebuilt her life, embraced a new chapter of marriage, and welcomed a new baby into her family just recently. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Her journey is one of perseverance, purpose, and renewed joy. Professionally, Linda serves as the Assistant Vice President and Community Relations Officer for Centier Bank in the greater Indianapolis area. And in this role, she oversees the bank's philanthropic initiatives, manages the philanthropic budget, coordinates volunteer engagement, leads efforts to provide free financial literacy education across the community. She's doing it, y'all. But since beginning her banking career in 2010, primarily in retail banking, Linda has continued to expand her impact through board service with numerous organizations such as the Young Professionals of One Zone, Indiana Women in Need, and so on and so forth. I mean, Dove Recovery House. There's so many. There's so many. But outside of her professional achievements, Linda cherishes her time with her husband, her three daughters, and her story reflects not only leadership and service, but the strength it takes to rise after loss and step boldly into new beginnings. Linda, hello.
Hey, hello. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited for your yes and for you saying yes to this opportunity
It was
to.
a no. It was a no. Live. Wow. I hope I don't pick my nose or have something on my face or
No, you look beautiful tonight. And I'm so excited for your yes. I'm so excited for your
Yes, me
yes.
too. So happy to be here.
Yeah. So why don't we just start? How did we meet, Linda? Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Thank goodness for the Women's Fund, right?
I know.
Thank goodness. What
Yes.
a great class we had. What an experience that
Yeah.
was. I mean, my goodness. It was it was like such a quick 10 months too. That was the worst part is we got to month 10 and we were like, "But wait, we
Yes.
want more." Yeah,
Yes.
great
Yes.
class.
Gentle plug there for Women's Fund Options Program. Shout out to
Yes.
class 23, we're the best, just so you
Woo-hoo.
know. But yeah, so why don't we just get right into your story? I've been inspired by your story. But you have walked through loss, rebuilt your life in an extraordinary way. What helped you stay grounded and move forward during that season?
Oh man. My kids, I think that was the main thing is how I wanted to show up for them and what I wanted them to understand about the grief process, I guess. I when my husband passed away, there was a week between him passing and us doing the funeral, and I showed up to the funeral parlor 12 girls deep, right? My sisters were there, my best friends had come in town. And I remember saying, I'm going to do the eulogy. And the funeral director was like, I don't know that that's a good idea, and was finding all these ways to talk me out of it. And one of
Mm-hmm.
my girlfriends was like, she's going to do the eulogy. She's got it. She's fine. And that was so perplexing to people. But
Mm-hmm.
really, I wanted to do it, one, because I felt like I knew Josh the best.
Right.
He was my best friend. And also because I wanted my girls, who were only 1 and 3 at the time, okay, so they weren't going to have a recollection of this, but I wanted them to see me stand up there,
Mm-hmm.
in front of this room full of people and speak about their dad and not fall apart.
Yeah.
That was so important to me. And I remember every day just being like, I cannot fall apart. I have babies, literally babies.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really them and this desire to, you can't control what happens to you, but
Yeah.
you control the way that you react to what happens to you. And every time I felt a moment of like, okay, I don't know if I can keep doing this. There's so many things happening. My life has changed overnight. I would remind myself of that. Like, okay, well, what is your reaction to this situation? And how do you want to be portrayed? There were so over 500 people, I think, is the count that the funeral director gave me of people who came to Josh's funeral. And I wanted to kind of create my own legacy. And I couldn't do that if I wasn't moving, if I
Mm.
wasn't continuing to go,
And when you say that, you mean moving forward.
moving forward, moving in any direction, right? We get
Mhm.
so focused on moving forward. I just wanted to move. Even if I
Mm.
was standing in place, I needed to keep my body going, my mind going, my life going. And so it wasn't always a forward direction. It was literally maybe just standing in place because I managed to brush my teeth that morning, or I managed to remember to get all three of us out of the house, or I remembered to pay the bills because that wasn't something that I had done previously.
Right.
We divided and conquered. He took the house and the bills, and I took the girls and the dog, and we chugged along as you do when you have little kids. And so any day that I could just even march in place felt like a really big win.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just said something because, myself, I've dealt with depression, panic attacks, anxiety since I was like 16. And so there are some people, especially like in the fitness world, they don't necessarily
Mhm.
understand that there are some days I literally just I can't.
Cannot.
You
Hmm.
cannot. But brushing your teeth, taking a shower,
Hmm.
making your bed, that's a win.
Hmm.
And so I
Hmm.
applaud you for just taking care
Hmm.
of yourself, not only for you, but for your girls, but specifically for you so you can take care of your girls. So I
Yeah.
know they have an amazing mama. So how has your journey shaped how you show up though? Like for yourself, your family, and then of course work.
The year after Josh died, I was just in a state of always uncomfortable, right? I was restless, I was anxious, I was nervous. You plan a whole life with one person. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I have to redo all of these plans that I had. Even sitting down with a financial advisor, he was like, all right, well, what's changed? And I was like, well, I guess I'm not retiring early. Like, Josh was older than I'm like, guess I'm not retiring early. And I guess now I need to think about what each section of my life is going to look like.
Right.
And so that year was a huge year of just like, okay, I need therapy and I need to figure out how this uncomfortable feeling that I'm sitting with and this restless feeling and just where does this go? How do
Yeah.
I turn this into something? Therapy was huge.
Mhm.
Being able to understand the uncomfortable feelings and how to heal those uncomfortable feelings and how to
Mhm.
heal myself so that I was present for the girls and so that I was present and working for future Linda. I think we get so stuck in the moment sometimes when we're drowning, when we are in a depressive state, when we are just in a world of uncomfort and just an unknown world that we get stuck in how we feel in that moment. And I wanted to sift through those emotions so I could get to future Linda. So I could get to the point where, I'd walk through the grief cycle, and I highly recommend you walk through the whole cycle. Those
Mhm.
steps exist for a reason, and I thought it was all kind of foo-foo until I was standing in the middle of it. But it shaped who I am now because I worked really hard to get here. I worked really hard to get to a point where my life wasn't defined by losing my husband and
Yeah.
my kids weren't defined by losing their dad. And I think when you lose someone who is so big in your life, it's easy to get stuck in, I'm a widow.
Yeah.
That's how people introduce themselves. I'm a widow or I'm a single mom. And you become so ingrained in who that person was that you forget that you have an opportunity to be somebody else,
Mhm.
to emerge out of that,
Mhm.
to go to take a different path, to become who
Mhm.
you are. And I know that I didn't want to sit and just be the widow or just be the widow at 31 because that's so young and that's so crazy.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I'm gonna find my way out of this, but it's gonna be really uncomfortable until I do. And I just embrace the uncomfortable and embrace feeling restless and scared and all of the feelings that came with being a single mom with two babies at home and a
Mhm.
completely different life than I thought I was going to have.
Mhm. Wow. So when I heard your story originally, what was it, 2 years, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I don't know what year
Three,
it
three, two, I don't know.
is.
Some
Some
years ago,
years.
I don't know.
I just was like, she just stands so tall. And I don't mean your height. Granted, you are
Because
tall
I am,
too.
yeah.
I mean, because I'm very short. But I didn't mean it like that. I mean, I was just like, she just stands. I went through this program. It was called Rise and Thrive. And one of the things that we had to do was stand tall in your story. And
Mhm.
so it was like you were literally standing tall and owning not just your story, but your journey. And I just love how you say, how am I going to get to future Linda? Um,
Mhm.
but now you're in a beautiful new chapter. You're
Yeah.
married. I believe, is it even,
Yeah.
have you been
A
married?
year and some months. Yeah. A year and
Yeah.
some months, June of 2024. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So almost a year and a half.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
we're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah. Next month, I guess. Yes.
Yeah. So what has like this new season taught you
Mhm.
about healing and strength and joy and life, just in general?
Man, all of the things. I never in my wildest dream really, I know people always say that, right? I'm never going to get married again, but I really was
Mhm.
not in a space where that was a priority for me. Obviously, I have two young daughters, and so the world is a scary place when you have little girls. And so I was like, I'm just good. And we had gotten to a place finally, actually, the summer before I met Garrett, my husband, we had gotten to a place where the three of us were a unit and we felt like a family and we were functioning. And I had figured out how to take care of my kids and
Mhm.
get them to their after school activities and work full time. And I transitioned to this new step in my career and I was really thriving in it and happy to be in it. And was really comfortable being by myself with the kids. And
Mhm.
we had kind of figured it out, and they were at a good space. They had both kind of gone through some therapy too. And then I met my husband. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. A little bit resistant at first because I was like, we just have a good thing going. Why are we gonna throw a wrench in this? We're all right. We're good. And so many people along the grief journey have such opinions on how you should grieve, which
Mhm.
is, oh man, it's so frustrating. You're not grieving enough. You're grieving too much. You took your ring off too soon. You dated too long. You didn't date fast enough. You should be talking about Josh all the time. You shouldn't talk about him because of the kids, right? Everybody had all of these opinions about what the grief journey looks like. And I just did not want to add another layer to it with dating. And I know that sounds kind of silly because who cares what people think. But it was just like, I'm in a good spot. I'm fine. Well, the universe was like, but girl, but
But
there could
girl.
be more.
Well,
But
he
here's this
obviously did
really
something right.
right. Here's this perfect man. Here you go. And so through that whole journey, right, we kind of got to the end of the grief journey and we're good and we're solid. And he comes along and, you know, I realized we were happy and he
Mhm,
doesn't make us whole, right? The girls and I were whole. I'm a whole person in and of myself, right? I don't need somebody to fill that void or,
mhm,
the missing piece, if you will. But man, he came in like a wrecking ball in the best way. And he just broke down all of these walls from losing Josh and from being a single mom and the girls, the relationship he has developed and has with them. I mean, he has adopted them, so their last name is hyphenated between their two dads because that's something that's really important to me is to honor Josh, but to
mhm,
honor Garrett in the way that he's raising these girls. He is their dad. He
mhm.
coaches soccer for, my middle daughter. He's just
That's beautiful.
God broke the mold when they created my husband. I mean, he really is just chef's kiss. I don't know how he could get any better than he is. So we wanted to honor both. And so, you know, life just has a funny way of giving you exactly what you need, even when you don't realize you needed it. And that has been Garrett for me, and for my girls. And he's just come in and he just adds a rainbow and the sparkles and all of the things that are good in this world. My husband just adds to our family, and I can't be grateful enough for just the way that he swooped in and loved us. And I mean, he really healed three hearts that he didn't break.
Mhm.
And just he's just one. I mean, we could spend the rest of the podcast talking about my husband, so I'll spare everybody.
Garrett, we love you over there.
But you find the people you're meant to find. I really do believe that. And he came at a time where we had settled down and we were happy and we had filled our own buckets up. And I think,
Mhm.
the universe or God or whatever you believe in was like, hey girl, all right, you did the work. I see you. Here you go. Here's a little nugget for you.
That's
So
awesome. That's awesome. So,
yeah.
in the midst of all that, you said that you had a step up in your career as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, how did you know that it was like the right time, considering you're balancing and or integrating all of this newness?
Mm-hmm. One thing I did after Josh passed away, and I always tell people to do this because it was mind blowing for me, is I got two journals. When he passed away, okay, so now I'm a single mom. Now I'm in charge of all of the dinners and all of the pickups.
Mhm.
How do I manage my time? And
Right.
so I kept two journals. I kept one that was a time journal, and I would write down everything that I was doing during the day. Every minute was accounted for. And then I
Okay.
kept a journal of when I left a friend, how did I feel when I left them? When I left an event, how did I feel? Was that a good use of my energy and of my time? Because at this point, if I'm not at home with my kids, they're not having daddy daughter time, right? They're with a babysitter, they're with a
Mhm.
family member, they're with a family friend. They're not with me. And it was important that I was there for them because obviously they also suffered a huge loss. And so when I looked through the time journal and looked through, I called it my feelings journal, if you will, every time that I did something in the community or did something for someone else, I filled my own bucket up.
Mhm.
And so I took that and I was like, well, I don't know what to do with this information yet.
Right.
And another bank actually had come to me and said, hey, we've seen you in the community doing events. We're sort of working on a role. Would you be interested?
Mhm.
And retail banking is tough because you're open until 6 p.m. on Friday and you work occasional, 2 or 3 Saturdays a month, 9 to noon. And so I'm missing that time with my kids. I'm having to find a babysitter. It was just becoming a lot with the schedules. And they're in ballet and, it was busy. And so I'm like, okay, I would be interested, but I don't want to leave Centir. I really don't.
Mhm.
So I went to, at the time, my regional manager, Ben Suda-Baker, who I love to death, was like, hey, this bank approached me and like, I know what I want to do. This is what I want to do. This is a path that I want to go. And I want to stay here and do it. But like, I know I need to do this and I can't stay here if Cynthia can't do it.
Mhm.
So he said, oh, okay. And poor guy, he had been working at Centier for maybe 3 or 4 months at this point. Like I really kind of pulled one over on him and was like, here you go. I don't know. Do with this what you can. Yeah, you've worked here. Are you out of your 90-day probation period at this point? And so he ran with it and they were like, okay, give us some time to figure this out. Right. And then I was like, fine. So I told the other bank, like, listen, I got to stay here. And Centier had done so much for me when Josh was in the hospital, and I just felt very loyal to them because of how they had loved on me when he was sick and all the things. And so I waited, and they came to me, and they're like, all right, here's this role. We don't have a job description. We don't really know all of the ins and outs, but like we trust that you're going to figure it out. And I took that personally and I was like, okay, well, you did this for me. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And that's kind of how it came out, was just the time journal, the emotions journal, and figuring out if I'm not going to be around my kids, I need to do something that fills my cup up. So when I come back to them, I'm pouring into them and I have something to pour into them. And loving my community, volunteer work, finding organizations to support, that fills my cup up. Loving other people fills my cup up. And it's important for me to leave a legacy of, I want people to always leave me feeling happier,
Yeah.
warmer, loved on. I don't ever want anybody to leave me and feel like I drain them. I don't want to be an emotional sucker, if you will. And this job gives me the opportunity to do that. And I love it. And it
Mhm.
was crazy to make a job change, so soon after Josh had passed away, but it was one way that I could guarantee my happiness, my kids' happiness. And again, I think about leaving a legacy a lot. And most people probably don't, because you don't experience such a important death a lot of times this early in life, the way that I did. And I want 1,000 people to show up to my funeral, not because they're sad, but because I want to have a party and celebrate the life that I worked so hard to be happy and to enjoy, you know?
Wow. So when you think about legacy, because you've mentioned that a couple of times, so what do you want your children, your three girls, to say about their mom?
Mm.
Even now, let's talk about now.
Need a
Like,
margarita for these kinds of shows, man. You're gonna get me all hot. Ugh. I just want my kids to tell people that I loved people, that I tried real hard to be a good person and I tried real hard to be a good mom, and people felt full when they left me, and that I just tried my best to add and not take away from the world. I think that's really what it is. I want them to feel unconditional love. I want them to have a better understanding that I don't want to raise them to have a hard heart. I see people all the time be like, well, I'm just preparing them for the world. Well, I want my kids to be soft and love people. And that doesn't mean they get trampled on, but being an emotional person doesn't make you a weak person. I think sometimes it makes you stronger because you are so in tune and so understanding of the world and emotions and people. And you know, I just want to be a good person. That's all I want to do. Whatever that looks like to whoever it looks like to, I just want people to be like, you know what, I love Linda. She's funny and she's kind. And, we know that
and you
we can
are.
rely on her. Yeah. All the things, really. All the nice things. I want to be the nice things. But also, if your hair looks bad, I'm going to tell you.
I
you know,
mean, let me know. If it
That's
looks
also being
bad right now,
kind.
let me know, Linda.
Right. Yeah. It's also being kind, just in a different way, right? I won't let you walk out with toilet paper on your shoe or lipstick on your mouth, nothing like that. But yeah.
Mhm. So was there ever a time like when you were transitioning, was there ever a time when you felt like, like questioning yourself, like, am I qualified
Oh
for
my
this? Am
gosh,
I ready for
imposter
this?
syndrome. Yes, girl, all the time. Still,
Okay.
still. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's like natural. And I think it's almost like ingrained in us. Anytime that we are successful, there's always that little like voice that's like, what did you do to earn this? Or are you
Mhm.
sure you're good enough to sit at this table? And all of these things. And, I just tell her to shut the hell up. That's all I do.
Okay.
Girl, what, yeah, I respect the people who put me in this position. So if I'm insulting myself, I'm insulting them. And if I'm insulting myself, I'm insulting my daughters because they also think I'm a rock star. I don't know, I've been tricking them or something. But I,
No.
but it is, and you know, and not to sound like I'm over here, like whatever. And I do get caught up in those emotions because there's sometimes I'm sitting at a table and I felt like that in options. I'm looking around at all these women like, I don't know. Are you sure you looked at my application? Did you pick the wrong Linda? Because I know it's not a common name, but like, I don't know. But then I just tell myself, you know what? Even if you don't belong at this table, you're going to learn some things because you're not supposed to be the smartest person in the room and you're not supposed to be the best at anything. And if you're constantly surrounded by mediocre people, you're just going to continue to be mediocre. So even when I have that feeling of like, do I belong here or do I deserve this? It doesn't matter. You're at the table already. You better find a way to stay here.
Mhm.
And if you didn't deserve to be at this table, they wouldn't have put you here.
Right, right.
You know,
So as AVP of, what is it actually called? AVP of
community relations.
Community Relations. There we go. So in that position, like how are you helping those in the Indianapolis community and surrounding? Like what exactly are you doing?
So we do a plethora of things. So we, my three main areas, if you will, is our
Mhm.
sponsorship dollars, so our philanthropic budget. We have a couple different budgets, and so we work with organizations in Greater Indianapolis. We go and meet with them, and it's like, how can we help you? Can we sponsor a program? We worked with a food pantry downtown that was struggling to, um, feed their they called them neighbors, which I think is so cute, and they were
Mhm.
thinking of starting a garden. And I'm like, great, let's sponsor the garden. That makes sense. We can do that. Food for people, produce, healthy food. We will sponsor that. Right. So it really is organizations for anybody. We're super inclusive. We do everything from the Indie Pride, Dove Recovery House, Overdose Lifeline. I teach free financial literacy courses all over, including the Hamilton County Jail, which I really enjoy.
Awesome.
We just want to help the communities that we serve, and we just go when we find them. So that's one of the main things I do. We do tons of volunteer work. We It's part of our actual annual review is like, who did you volunteer for? How many hours did you volunteer for? Yeah, it's huge. It's a
That's
big
great.
deal because that is our culture, our servant heart culture,
Right.
of really being impactful. And then teaching our free financial literacy class. So we have core classes that we teach. And I love, love, love doing that. I
Mhm.
love teaching. I love giving knowledge to people that wouldn't otherwise have any access to getting it and
Mhm.
teaching them. And it's so exciting when you see the light bulb go off. Or I was teaching a class downtown a couple weeks ago, and this young kid had come to a couple of classes. And on the back of a menu from a restaurant, he had written his budget out and was so excited to show me. And I was so excited to see it. And he had done such a good job. And he was like, and I redo it every Saturday, like you said. And
Oh,
those moments just get me, they hit me so deep. And that's kind of what keeps me going on these classes is, you don't know what you don't know. And if the people who hold the knowledge don't share it or spread it, how's anybody going to learn anything?
that's
So love the classes. They're
awesome.
probably I say all parts of my job are the favorite, but I really do love the teaching aspect. And then, I love meeting new organizations and finding ways to partner with them.
Mhm.
Um, and really partnering, not just handing them a check and leaving. It's like, can we join your board? Can we volunteer here? How can we be helpful how can we serve you? Honestly, I know we're handing you the check, but we want to serve you.
I love that you have such a servant heart and you talk about like that's your favorite. But what are you most proud of? In
Mm,
terms of like
oh my
professional
gosh.
and personal. Like, do you have anything that you're like most proud? Like that is the thing.
Mhm. I'm proud of how intentional we are with who we
Mhm.
support. And I know that's probably a weird answer.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's so easy to just donate money, right? And not that it's easy, we all have our money struggles and the world is what it is, but you know, it, it's one thing to just donate money. It's a whole nother thing when we go to an organization and we say, hey, we want to partner with you. We want to be here. We want to be engaged. We want to do whatever we can to help you succeed. So I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of. But I'm also proud of the fact that I asked for this job. I went to Ben and was like, I know that I want to do this. And that's not something that I would have done a long time ago. I wouldn't have asked for this job. I might have mentioned it maybe in a review, but I wouldn't have advocated for myself the way that I did, learning all of the lessons that I learned after Josh passed away. And I was like, I don't want to leave Centir, but I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. I know that this is the direction I'm supposed to go, and I don't know how to get there,
Mhm.
but like, can you help me? And I'm grateful every single day that Centir was like, yes, we will. They created a whole new job,
They
benefit,
did.
the whole thing. They had to fill my position. I mean, they really went, if there's
Above
above
and
and a
beyond.
beyond, they went above and beyond like 12
Above
times.
and
And they
beyond.
didn't, yeah, and they didn't have to do that. And I'm so grateful every day that they trusted me to kind of create this job and build this job. And, I have a great leader that I work for now, Dakita. And so she was just kind of like, all right, we're going to figure this out. And we have. And we helped 118 organizations this year alone. And the year's not over yet. We still got some cooking, and so I'm proud of the work that we've done. And then personally, I'm really proud of my kids. I'm raising really good kids who have big hearts and are thoughtful and kind, and they're real sassy. But they come by it honestly, so I can't even really be that mad. But they're just good humans, and I think in the world that we're in today, raising good humans should be top of mind.
Oh, you just said a word. I think you should say that again. We're here in the coach's kitchen, so we believe every conversation is meant to nourish. And so I'm just wanna, start closing it out by just asking, what's nourishing you in your soul right now?
Mm, all the things, all the things. What nourishes my soul is that I believe good is going to come. Good is coming.
Mhm.
We're in a weird world right now, but I just believe so wholeheartedly that if you look around, your neighbors are still good people.
Mhm.
There's still so many great people in this world, and I think sometimes that gets overshadowed by all of the negative things that we see. But
Mhm.
like, I'm still going to go help the old lady put her grocery cart away. And I know other people would too. I'm going to volunteer at my kids' school with the other moms because we care about education. And I'm going to help someone on the street, and I'm going to go volunteer at a soup kitchen, and I'm going to donate money. And I know other people are doing that too. And
Mhm.
so that nourishes me because I do believe ultimately the world is good and people are good and we do want to be good. We just don't always understand what that looks like.
Mhm.
Um, and we get lost kind of in our own idea of the world, and so that can sometimes send us down a different path. But
Mhm.
I get nourished by my kids and the good that they do and the good that their little friends do and my friends. Like, it's so easy to get caught up in the good stuff if you start looking for it.
Mhm. That's good. Girl, you should put that on a t-shirt.
Yep, I'll put it on a red hat and we'll take those back over, won't
Oh boy.
we?
Uh, so I have another question for you. So you were able to like navigate this life, right? And so there are women out there, they've lost something, someone, and they're just trying to figure out like how to move forward to their next.
Yeah,
What would you tell them? Like, what would you say, if they're literally, they're right in front of you right now. What would you say to
yeah. Baby steps are still steps. Yeah, baby steps are still steps. I think sometimes we get so focused on the long game that we forget to be present right now. And
them?
that's something that really saved me. On the days that I was like, I can't do this. It was like, okay, but what's the next thing you can do? What's the next best thing you can do? And if that was just brushing my teeth, then that was brushing my teeth. And if that was taking my kids to the park by myself for the first time, then that was what I did. And so I would just say, baby steps are still steps.
Mhm.
You can do it. You will survive this. In a couple of years, you will thank your previous self for just taking the next little step. And if there's ever any women out there who are like, I don't know what to do, I'm happy to offer guidance. I don't have all of the answers, and I went through a lot of therapy, so find a good therapist. Mine's incredible if you want her information, but um, you can do it. You can. It doesn't always feel like it, and drowning is such a scary feeling. And like I said, I was so uncomfortable for a year. But like, if you're still breathing, you can still do it. You're still here. Next baby step.
Yeah. Here for a reason. I was
You are
actually just
here. You are here for a reason. Yep.
I had a conversation with a girlfriend earlier, and she was just thinking about, her next, right? And I was like, there's somebody waiting for you
Yeah.
to say yes. Like there's literally someone waiting for you to step into what you're supposed to be doing.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
sometimes we have to heal, we have to grow, we have to get stronger, we got to lift. Like
Mhm.
there's so many things that we have to
Yeah.
do in order to prepare ourselves for the next.
Yeah.
But there's someone hoping, praying,
Yeah.
waiting on you.
Yeah.
Um,
And there's also nothing wrong with really enjoying the present either. We're always looking for the next best thing, and we're always looking for the next career, and we're always looking for our next promotion, or when our kids hit this age, or when we get to this point, or the next holiday. There's absolutely nothing
mhm,
wrong with just enjoying the moment that you're in. Life is so precious. It's Time is the most precious commodity that you have, and you lose it.
yeah,
You can't buy more of it. You don't get more of it. You don't win a prize at the end if you've just shuttled right through life, right? And so that's something that I'm actively working on, is like, how do I be more present in the moment with my kids? And I took a social media break because I was like so obsessed with every little thing that was going on. I was like, is this beneficial for me? Is this beneficial for my kids? Like, how can
mhm.
I just be here in this moment and enjoy it? Because in enjoying this moment, I'm healing, and I'm finding out new things about myself and about my kids, and that can only help me in other avenues of my life. So
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. Well, how can people find you, connect with you, whether they want to talk to you
Yeah.
about these things and or partnerships,
Yeah.
sponsorships, all the things,
All the
all the things.
things. Well, yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Linda Bricker. I don't think there's very many of us at Century Rank. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. I'm around. Message. I think my phone number is. I feel like everybody has my phone number at this point. I can never change it.
I haven't changed mine either since I was like 16.
Yeah. No, I'd love to talk to anybody who wants to chat. If I can ever be of service, I always want to be, and I'm happy to help in whatever capacity that I'm able to. So yeah, or find my buddy Leslie, and she'll hook you up. So
Uh-oh.
whatever.
That's me, guys. That's me.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, the girl who runs this whole thing. She's the one, the queen.
Well, I appreciate your yes today, Linda.
Yes, so glad.
And,
So glad you asked. So glad you reached out. I'm so happy to be here. This is incredible.
well, thank you. I'm just leaning into my yes too. And, sometimes, like you said, it's like, it's not always easy. And sometimes you
Mhm.
question yourself, like, really? Like,
Mhm.
really? You want me to go live for real? Like, you
Mhm.
want me to do
Yeah.
this like
Yeah.
right now?
Did I do my
Like,
hair?
yeah, like, is anyone even listening to me?
I'm
And
sure they are. You know what? And I always think that. And then I'm like, somebody will reach out to me and be like, I saw you on LinkedIn and I love that organization. Or you said something to me. And I'm like, I didn't even think anybody was listening to me or looking at these posts, but somebody's always watching you, and you didn't make sure
somebody,
that you're ready for them to be watching, because they might really need you in that moment.
absolutely. And I've also realized, like you said, some of the people that really do need and or desire the
Mhm.
help or to want to chat are the ones that are not necessarily liking or commenting on
Yes.
your posts. They're just
Yeah, they're
watching.
your silent observers. Yeah.
You're silent observers.
Hmm.
Well, thank you so much
You're
again, Linda.
welcome.
I know that you have three mouths to feed this evening. I know they're waiting on their
Yeah.
mother. But to everyone else out there, thanks for pulling up a seat to the Coach's Kitchen. If today's conversation stirred anything in you, share the episode, tag me at Leslie Nicole Speaks, or at tck.live. That's on IG. Let the people know what's cooking, y'all. If you're ready to stop carrying the weight alone, if you're ready to cook up something new, I'd love to walk with you. Through one-on-one coaching, I help women find clarity, confidence, balance to show up for themselves. So remember, this is where wholeness gets cooked slow, and you're not alone. Because of the holiday, we'll be off for the next couple of weeks. I want everyone to enjoy their holiday, and I'll be back in a couple of weeks with our next guest. But until next time, stay bold and stay whole. We appreciate you tuning in to the Coach's Kitchen. Until next time. And let's see. We got this new streaming thing. Here we go.